Hey, what's going on, everyone? Astrologer Rosen here, and I'm giving you the November, all 12 signs, all zodiac signs, your sun, your rising, horoscope, what I really want you to clue into, pay attention to this month. That's what this video is about. But let's get the administrative stuff out of the way, shall we? Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. I don't think I've ever said that before, but here we are. These are the times, got to play the YouTube field, if you will. So we're going to be really diving into what does Saturn going direct, coming out of its retrograde, mean for your sign. Now, this is going to happen around the middle of the month, and there's a lot going on at the beginning of the month too, but that is so intense. There's so much substance there that if I gave all of it, this would be like a 3-hour video. So what I did instead is I actually, for the people that really want it, that really want to know how to answer the call of their destiny, how to overcome that destiny tug of war that's going to be happening at the beginning of November with the new moon in Scorpio, with Mars in Cancer opposing Pluto in Capricorn, right? This is a huge freaking deal. This is one of the more final major aspects that's going to be made to Pluto before it leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius around the 20th of November. And so if you want to learn about how to seize the most out of this opportunity and not slip up into playing it small, because this is like the transit where people can start playing it small with their fucking ego and, get basically duped into staying in their comfort zone and not actually achieving something bigger. We're in a spiritual war, and that's putting it lightly. There's a war on all fronts, and it's like we're in this position where we have the history to tell us that things like civil revolutionary war, most times people just stayed on the fucking sidelines and just didn't choose a side or do anything. The history of the textbooks make it seem like there was actually an all-out opposition, and the truth is that that's not how people typically show up. I'd say it, but humans can be lazy unless they're really motivated by fear. So this is the transit, and along with that new moon that deals with looking at, don't be lazy, don't be afraid to go into something higher. So that special that's going to be on Zoom, I'm doing it live at 6 p.m. on October 29th for all 12 signs. It's $9 if you want to participate in it for the live. And of course, you'll get a copy of the recording afterwards, whether you attend or you don't attend. But that's for the people that are the way showers, the leaders, the ones that actually really truly give a shit about their life, and it's not that you don't, if you just want to consume, the free YouTube horoscopes from astrologers, that's all well and fine, but it's just, I'm putting a boundary up with, what I'm giving. Because for me as a Capricorn, knowing my astrology, new moon in Scorpio, this is a resurrection of my soul's code of, how to be of service, but also not be that martyr Templar Knight that I was in a past life. So if you want to get that link will be down below. Of course, also, if you ever want to get an astrology reading, I go deep into those. That link will be down below as well. And then the $33 astrology ebook, if you want to study your own natal chart, that's there. And then the Astrology School. So let's talk, though, about this Saturn going direct. What does it mean overall for regardless of your sign? So we can just start with that, and then we'll get into the zodiac signs. Well, number one, if life has sucked the past 4 months, that's okay. At least it's over. The karmic suffering has come to a close. The key, though, is to not repeat those fuck-ups, to not repeat the patterns that were poor decisions that you made, that you were bypassing your intuition and psychologically, as a puppy at my feet, psychologically just in a position where you saw what was going on, but then kind of had the rose-colored glasses on for the past, starting about a year ago. And then when Saturn went retrograde 4 months ago, I got to this position where I was like, okay, well, now we got to play back the tape and review that stuff of those were the decisions that we made in Saturn. It's this is where you reap what you sow. So now that we're coming out of that, it's the integration time. It's integrating and going, okay, how do I clean the slop out of my life fully, especially subconsciously, spiritually, being a very humble, very dedicated spiritual warrior, that understands that you are absolutely co-creating your reality with spirit, that there's no like getting off of, the consequences or playing victim or any of that nonsense that can come up in Pisces, right? Because there's ranges of the frequencies that can, of course, come up there, right? Highs and lows. And to see that this is really just about who's actually willing to rise up, who's actually willing to do the heavy lifting. But, with Saturn in Pisces, it doesn't have to be heavy when you get your spirit guides, your angels teamed up on your side, right? That's why they call it light work, like being a light worker. Like you don't have to press all the weight alone and throw the chains of shame and guilt on yourself of like, not feeling like you can't rebound from whatever challenges like that have been coming up, that we're definitely reaping what we sow these past 4 months. And so whatever lessons that you were learning during this time, it's time to implement those. It's absolutely time to put it fully into your scope of work in your reality, that it's not a negotiable thing, that would be another bypass if you consider that it was optional to actually like zone in and focus on what spiritually, what subconsciously needs to change. This brings up patterns, this brings up addictions especially, this brings up seeing something intuitively, but then like pushing it into the closet and you firmly know that it's there, but then you're not dealing with it. This is where, you have to get clear on that stuff. If you're not clear and it's hazy, because it can be hard in Pisces, and you're having trouble building the erector set and connecting the patterns of the dots, it's like, get support, find a therapist, find an astrologer, find someone that knows how to support you in getting to know yourself at a deeper psychological level, so you can be a better pioneer of your reality and where you want your dreams to go, and just not like fritter it away, basically. So let's talk about these sun signs, shall we? Interesting. So a card flew out of this tarot deck that I was holding. This is not for Aries, but this is just for the overall. We got the 7 of Cups. So it's like, it's very Saturn Pisces. A lot of illusions out there. In reality, you're going to fall for it. This brings up media distractions. This brings up, it's just like being on social media. This brings up the stuff that seems like alluring, but then you get duped into it. It's hard. It's the illusion of choice that something is going to fulfill you with the 7 of Cups, when in actuality, it's not going to. It's just not. It's gonna actually lead to, like a freaking snake bite or a scorpion or something popping up at you. And it's like some things it looks like there can be a prize in it, but it's like, what's underneath of it? There's a little pyramid like in one of these, like over here, and it's like, who knows, right? So how do you get out of that though? I'll pull another card. I got the Devil card reverse. It's pretty simple. You get out of your fucking addictions. You get out of your patterns. You know what they are by now. Doesn't matter what your sign is. You know what they are by now. Just stop fucking doing it. And know that, because I know it can be hard. So it's like, that's where you got to have a spiritual connection. That's where it's like, you don't have the heavy shackles of guilt, shame, addiction, staying in your patterns and, not getting any help from spirit. And remember, anything can be addicting. Anything. You are not holier than thou if you don't smoke weed or smoke something or do drugs or alcohol. Everybody has a tendency for their own addictive patterns, and Saturn is absolutely going to ask us to get out of that going forward for this next 7-8 months. So, but start the integration now. Get ahead. Don't fall behind. That's why I'm talking about this for this month. So when it comes to Aries, this is your 12th house. So you're the poster child for get right with God. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't beat around the bush. Don't lie to your preacher. I'm speaking in metaphors here, right? It's going, okay, like what's going to be your commitment religiously, essentially, that is the thing that you are devoting yourself, that you are going to just do better in your life, that's between you and God, and that transcends religion, right? That transcends like anything anyone else says. Is between you and God. What's your devotion? What are you going to do to improve your life? You've been learning about this the past 4 months. It's time to integrate that stuff. You cannot let anyone else tell you what it is. You can't let a program tell you what it is. You can't let media of any type influence you. You should know that within yourself as a soul, intuitively, right? Media will only serve, or even other individuals, as mirrors to mirror back through signs, through synchronicities, through reaffirming what you should already know, so that it can be the positive, signpost guiding you towards an actual authentic spiritual connection that's going to improve your life. And it just naturally improves your life because you improve your frequency and you just become a better person, Aries. And then, because the understanding in the 12th house is like you clean shit up so that when it crosses the rising sign, that you start over and you go through the whole 12th house journey again, all 12 houses. And so this is a way of like cleaning up everything to get right in every area of life for the next leg of the journey. So obviously Saturn's got a while that's still to go in Pisces. It'll be in your 12th house for a while, but like, who waits until the third quarter of a 4-quarter game to put on their best stuff and just like limp dicks it, through the first 2 quarters. Like you just put it all out there. Like you leave it all on the field, Aries. You know how to do that. I mean, at least you did maybe before Chiron came into your sign in 2019, but you're still going to have to pop a spiritual Viagra and show up and do it anyway. Or if you're a woman, whatever the equivalent of that, would be, like whatever arouses you, metaphorically speaking, where it's like, you get that passion going. Remember, it's Scorpio season most of this month. So when it comes to Taurus, you actually wanted to pull a card for you, Aries. Stop, rewind. What you got, Aries? Card-wise for this month, for the Saturn direct. Long-term vision. You got the two of rods, 2 of wands here. So when it comes to this card, this is pretty easy peasy because you don't have to worry too much about where the long term is like going, like in terms of like the implementation or the action. It's more of like the kind of like dreaminess of like the outlook. So I think this is good, Aries, because you see the long term of like where things can head. The easiest way to integrate what you've been shown this past 4 months, so that it doesn't just feel like you're like being whipped by God or something, like it's like some biblical, freaking Old Testament like energy of like God's being vengeful to you, is you see what the long-term dream reality is of where you want to go. And that's why you're making those changes. God's trying to help you get to this by making those changes, Aries. So when it comes to Taurus, after that false start, Taurus for real this time, we have this as the 11th house for you, Taurus, is Pisces. So Saturn, people, right? This is most definitely dealing with connections, right? I will tell you, as a Taurus rising, my realization with the very tail end of this Saturn in retrograde, as it's coming to its close, as I'm recording this at the end of October, knowing that Saturn's not going direct until November 14th, is it's not people that are the issue. Don't pathologize them. Their frequencies, how they're showing up, judging them, like it's a mirror, Taurus. Like it says more about how you are connecting or not connecting with the world, how you choose to recluse and disconnect at times versus putting yourself out into connections that actually feel spiritual and loving. And there's a sense of just maturity like in those connections and how you engage with people. There's even like a compassionate acceptance that everyone's on a different level vibrationally, but that doesn't mean that you throw up the crucifix on them and say that you can't connect, you can't hang out, you can't be friends, you can't hang out in that community. Like, obviously, Taurus, if you found someone that you know through and through, that other people are telling you, hey, that person's toxic, stay away from that person. Yeah, obviously do that. But this has more to do with like, where do you like unplug yourself and don't actually have a spark available like for other people, because you're already sort of like being really hyper observant and, you know, just like very just like on guard, on watch, like the electricity is all going towards reading the energy like around the people that you're around in the world, and see if you can just like drop out of that and just like connect in more excitement, more spiritual flow, you know, see about how you can be more present in the reality of things. This definitely deals with, you know, because it's people situations and being out in the world, it's like these past 4 months have been showing you where you've probably been wanting to connect more, but a part of you hasn't. And so it's like, look at how that's went. You know, if you've been having issues with tribe, with connections, this is where you take intuitively whatever was shown to you and you apply that and you go into a better direction with that. It's not a time to skip the steps in terms of those connections with people, right? And know too, like that a Taurus is dull and boring, like when they're just not around other people. So it's like, this really brings up too, like, yeah, what's actually in integrity for the people that you're around and paying attention to that spiritually, but are you actually listening, or are you sweeping it to the side? You know, Spirit saying, go be around this group of people. And if you're telling your guides like, no, fuck that, those people suck, I can't do that, that's low vibe or whatever. It's like, well, okay, Taurus, so like, you know, what are you gonna do then though? Like, Spirit's like trying to like help you connect and learn to trust people more. So it's like, why not just like take the bait and go do whatever it is that you've been shown to do? If there's been suffering in these areas, like where you felt, you know, reclusive, or maybe because it could be the opposite end of the spectrum too, where you feel like you've been around too many people and you're not able to like make sense of, you know, the places that you're showing up to. There's a maturity there to go, like, are you really manifesting and defining the type of people that you want to be around? Because, you know, that's another avenue, Taurus, is like, spiritually speaking, it's like you got to be around people, but if you actually know within yourself you can be around better quality people, it's like, well, you got to define what that looks like. You got to get more clear on who you want to be around. So card wise, so you got the Nine of Wands. So this is all about resilience to the end. You've been banged up, Taurus. Whew, you've been banged up around people. Like, I get it. Like, energy's real, frequencies are real. It's not that like you haven't, you know, probably felt a little run down and lethargic in some areas of life, especially around dealing with the world and people and frequencies and that. But remember too, like, whatever's like banged you up, you know, what did you like willingly let in subconsciously too, that you could clean up and see that you can make a better commitment, you know, to yourself, to the quality of yourself and the people that you're around, that you don't let those frequencies in, that you use compassion, you use grace, you use, you know, kind of a deep, investigative, scientific, like, you know, it's like mad scientists at first, like free write a journal or just meditate or do something to be like, how did this energy bang me up in the first place? And then that you see that it's not actually people that were the issue, it was the energy, but how did that energy get in? You know, this is going into your past, you know, in order to go forward into your future of connection with others where you want to go, by understanding that there's just things probably to clean up within you around those old issues that happen with people, that's kind of coming from a place of fear of like letting things in because you're feeling defensive instead of connecting in a very Pisces loving way. So when it comes to Gemini, so you've been getting the last 4 months blasted with some pretty significant lessons. I feel like you're lucky in terms of like the lessons can at least feel softened, because Saturn and Pisces will be that for your 10th house. But this is dealing with your career, your long-term, like what positioning do you want to actually have in the world? What do you want to be known for? right? Like you could go anywhere from just like deep spiritual legacy thinking of like soul capital stuff of what your guide's going to say on the other side when you cross over, when you die, in terms of how you spent this time in your life, all the way just to the practical reality of things of were you able to just achieve the goals and the benchmarks that you set out for yourself? And if you've been doing it, great. You know, you're creating really great, you know, karma, you know, for yourself and not having so much suffering. But if you've been having those challenges, Gemini, or you feel like you've held yourself back or felt restricted or you could do more, this is where you make the push and like know that you can use intention to connect spiritually, spirit guides, angels, to go, hey, like I can't just like push this boulder up this mountain, you know, alone, so that I can chisel it with my tools of whatever it is that I want to be known for, like almost like building a monument, right? Like you don't got to do it all alone. It's like the illusion that you're in some type of like isolation, like up in your tower, and that there's no support or there's not, you know, people around or people to network with. Gemini, it's just not true. It's like there's a boundless universe out there to connect with people. You just have to remember to tap into your business savvy side to get your ducks in a row so that it's like understood. This reminds me of like, what's your funnel look like in business or your career, right? Like you have an understanding of like, people start here and then they end up here. Like they start here and this is how I help them succeed, because I've had to learn to succeed too in this way, problem solution, and then here's the outcome. You know, it's like there's still like basics of thinking, and you can use your imagination around it. You can use the theatrics of how you market and put that stuff out there, and you know, just kind of that magician energy of the enchantment of like the bells and whistles and like making it pop. You know, like let's say you were doing like, you know, written copy or videos or whatever. It's like make it look good, you know, like, but you know, most Gemini, it's like people see you like where you're not showing up fully, or when you show up something feels like, you know, like, wait, I know you're a magical person, Gemini, so like why are you showing up kind of like sometimes as a dud? Where could you do better, like in these ways of like how you show up? So this past 4 months have been giving you some really profound insights, probably some like really like fatherly grandfather type lessons. And so apply that and stop fucking suffering, you know, and you won't experience like that intense nature of restriction when it's just like there's nothing really holding you back. It's really just the universe just kind of like being on call, you know, for what it is that you're going to create and manifest in these areas of your career, of your long-term destiny, Gemini. So you got the Empress card. It's a beautiful card. It's a card of abundance, Gemini. So like I said, it's an abundant universe. All the goods are out there. It's available to you. You know, there's a fertility here too, of it still being rooted and grounded, you know, a very Saturn energy. But, you know, the Empress is very feminine too. So again, these achievements, these goals don't have to be like hyper old school masculine, blood, sweat, and tears, like work ethic. This is more you kind of like exposing yourself and being in the fertile nature like of your creations, and just be all of you and just show up publicly, Gemini, and whatever that is, whether that's job, business, career, you know, like you want to do stuff on social media, you want to network, but like this is a big deal. You can't hide from the rest of the world, Gemini, that's for sure. When it comes to Cancer, this Saturn going direct on the 14th, this is in your 9th house, so this is dealing with beliefs. And so, you know, I talked about this before, but it's like you got to get over where you pathologize like other people, like through your belief systems and stuff like that. People suck, people don't suck, or these, you know, these people that are foreign to me that I don't understand, I don't like them, but I like these people because we have a good time together. These are my friends. What's been coming up these past 4 months, Cancer, that's been trying to show you like, hey, there are absolutely ways to improve your long-term horizons of where you want to go, where you want to expand to, the abundant nature of things, but you have to be willing to really focus and listen. Like, what has Spirit been saying to you about the only way that you're actually gonna like achieve anything of substance with all these possibilities of opportunities and open doors, Cancer, is if you know how to bring that intuitive listening nature to things. You know, you also have to realize too that like half the doors are probably great, half the doors are probably an illusion, a mirage that are actually meant to take you down, you know, to explore a horizon in life that maybe you didn't actually need to go to. It's like, you know, did Simba really need to go fucking where the hyenas were at, you know, like the elephant graveyard? It's like you have all this other abundance like in this kingdom that you can go to, Cancer. And so do the most positive stuff like with it, but whatever doesn't like fit in that feels like foreign or, you know, like negative or just like kind of creepy or whatever, you just you communicate that stuff. You don't like get like nasty about it. You just kind of just like you know, like, no thanks, you know, this is where I'm heading, this is where spirit's guiding me, this is the vision, you know. So it's like, don't spend all your beautiful precious spiritual energy, your day-to-day life, time management dealing with, you know, stuff that you don't want. It's just focus on the stuff and the positivity of what you do want. And I would say that this brings up socializing, but it also brings up, you know, learning, higher education, you know, like even if there is a big effort that you got to make a commitment to something, that you got to learn something or have some life experience in order to go to where you want to go to, and it can seem like daunting or the invitation's like magical, but then also it's like, shit, can I like also really commit fully and see that all the way through? It's going to take how many weeks, how many years, whatever it is. It's like, well, that's where your intuition comes in, you know, and make sure that you're connecting with the highest like reaching energy that you can to, you know, God, source, creator, like really high level energies, like making sure it's coming from the light. Because if you're making a deep commitment for a long-term thing, you want to make sure that it's really good and really positive, to not go in a weird direction, Cancer. You're in a rite of passage, Six of Swords. So, you know, think about, what is this rite of passage? What is this transition, right? You probably got a lot of new tools, or you need to sharpen some tools that, you know, if things weren't going well, that you need to sharpen and use a little bit better to move in this like positive direction. It's like, get your GPS right. If you're in a transition moment, Cancer, it's like you want to make sure that you're not actually like drifting off course even just a little bit, because again, there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of ground to cover. That ninth house with Saturn's like, hey, you got to restrict and make sure that you're going to the best place. And also channeling too, it might actually be what you're resisting the most is the place that you need to go, the place that you're like, I really don't want to go there, I really don't want to deal with that. That's probably where the divine's asking you to go, because remember, it's Saturn, you know, it asks you to do the hard ass shit. So when it comes to Leo, this is your 8th house. So I think a lot of this is dealing with money. Card just kind of like, well, it kind of popped out of the bottom of the deck, so I'm not going to show that. But I will say that it's like money stuff for sure. You know, maybe this deals with like, how much are you giving, right? To people, because, you know, Saturn Pisces brings up business, being of service, but in the 8th house, it's like, where's the boundaries at energetically, physically? Like, are you over giving? Are you under receiving, right? There's got to be kind of a natural power dynamic where you don't feel like you have power over someone or they have power over you. You want very much like a power to situation with everything that you're doing that deals with business, that deals with finance. This also could deal, of course, with sex, you know, intimacy, right? And really the balance is just going to come more so from, you just follow your guidance of your intuition, you follow your senses, your sixth sense. You know, even just like 8th house can even just be like leading by your sacral power, you know, just your hell yeah, I want to do this, or hell no, I don't want to do that, you know, and be very Saturn-like with kind of bellowing out that hell yes or that hell no with what you're committed to. Because this is about, you know, long-term boundaries that you're learning within yourself. If you're wanting the lucrative, positive, gains, Leo, so that you can help more people and be more spiritual and be really strong and solid in yourself and firm and disciplined. What's been coming up the past 4 months? What take the top 3 things that you really just did not like, that you had to digest, and it felt like you were eating friggin' nails or something for breakfast, and make that adjustment. And that could even be something as simple as boundaries with yourself, of like your time management, of like, managing the hours of your day, especially with Pluto in your 6th house. So it's like, you look at those things and see if there's been any intuitive guidance, or just it's just been too hard, too much suffering, and you go, okay, well, I'm not gonna repeat that pattern again. I'm not gonna repress these emotions and these intuitive gut feelings that, this is not something that I want to have to learn again. Like, I'm done with this lesson. And it's hard, Leo, because I feel like you're probably not done with all those lessons, because in the 8th house and Pisces, like, things can tend to hide. Saturn's like, it's hard to go in there and like deal with these things psychologically in the first place. And so you kind of, maybe you've just been wanting to hurry up and get in and get out and just deal with that shadow work and be done. But then you missed a spot, and then you have to go back later, and that's okay. It's all right, Leo. It's just like, make the best of the integration of what you learned, these past 4 months. Make those shifts, especially around power dynamics, money, intimacy, wealth. It'll be best for your well-being and the ones that are meant to be around you too, that want to see you in your power, Leo. So yeah, don't ever feel like you gotta like come down a notch in your power, or gotta try to power over someone in order to make things better. Like, Spirit's trying to show you where, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be like an even distribution of power. So you got the Emperor card. So yeah, hold those boundaries, be the Emperor. Enough said. You just got to be strong and firm in what you're deciding. There's no wrong answer with Saturn and Pisces in your 8th. You just have to feel like you're firm in it, you're committed, the power is there, the boundaries are all there. So when it comes to the beloved Virgos, this is, of course, your 7th house, relationships, with Saturn going direct on the 14th of this month. So, this is like past 4 months of like, how's the relationships been going? How's your communication been going? Are you listening to people? Are you communicating enough? Right? Like, if you've been having like disagreements, like with others, conflicts, things feel out of balance, I'd say rule number 1 is like, review what subconsciously like was kind of the story, or just kind of like the reality that you're painting in your relationships, and maybe get like an outside third party's perspective to see like, is that actually factually the reality of like how it's going down, almost like a mediary, like an intermediate if you're struggling with relationship stuff. Of course, I know you always like value, your health and the athleticism and just, your day-to-day life, Virgo, but like, this is dealing with, you can't push and hermit away from like relationships just like whenever you feel like, if it doesn't fit into the schematics of those things. There's a very purposeful element here to learning lessons in your relationships and being able to have diplomatic communication about these things. And so, I would take the biggest like, thorn, in your side, almost like you fell into a cactus because you were drunk and not paying attention, metaphorically speaking, because it's Pisces, and it's like you got addicted to some numbing solution and you didn't paying attention, and then you pissed off a friend, or they pissed off you, or just, or a romantic relationship, whatever it is. It's like going, okay, well, I'm going to deal with that. Let me deal with that. Let me go get this. Let me go heal this. And then like, let me do the recon work to go, okay, like, why did this happen? Why did I do those things? What led me to those patterns? What did I decide, where I could have like weighed things out better, made a more justified decision before I said that, or before I ignored that from that person. So, starting now, don't fall behind, next 8 months, integrate. How can you make things more peaceful and harmonious in your reality to make it more beautiful and more spiritual? It's probably going to be that hard ass stuff of like, you know, the most difficult things that came up in your relationships is showing you how you can have those things, Virgo. So you got the Four of Swords in reverse position. So interesting. So there's some restlessness here, Virgo. What are you feeling restless about? I'll pull another card for you. And you got some anxiety, the Nine of Swords. So a lot of thinking going on. Go figure, Virgo. And it's your 7th house too. So it's like, you know, whatever's making you anxious, whatever's making you restless, you know, maybe there's like some dream, commitment, long-term goal, you know, that involves your relationships, other people, that's giving you angst. I would say just, you know, get to a place where you can search into your subconscious mind to actually locate like what are the fears that are actually coming up, and then just take it one piece of evidence at a time, right? Very judicious, very 7th house. Let me weigh this out. Let me keep my peace and not freak the fuck out, Saturn and Pisces stuff, and like treat things as a failure and like just be the judge or the lawyer that walks out of the courtroom before the case is decided, and just weigh it out one piece of evidence at a time. What's the pattern, Virgo? And so that's how you clean yourself up, clean up your thinking, your communication, your relationships. So when it comes to Libras 6th house energy for the Saturn that's going direct on November 14th for you. So you got to look back at these last 3-4 months of like what has been really hard health-wise, especially day-to-day life, reality, stress, right? Like your work, just the stuff that you repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, do over and over again every day. If it's felt monotonous and hard, Saturn showing you where it's like, hey, does it have to be that way? This brings up flow state for sure. Like, how do you get into a state of flow? It's like, well, you know, be intuitive and get clear on like what's actually the thing that you're committed to that's a path of service, and what are the daily practices and disciplines that you do to get into that state of flow? Is it meditation? Is it going for a walk with the dog? Is it eating XYZ things for breakfast, right? You got to be your own sort of, you know, barometer of like journaling, diary, tracking, like what's actually going on in the reality pattern wise. Libra, you're the poster child for like just the basics of like, you want your life to be more magical, you want better results, better commitments. Just deal with the basic day-to-day stuff of just the little tweaks and changes that you need to make, you know, where you get the feedback and you go, okay, the system's not operating optimally, I'm not feeling my best, you know. And it's not about striving for perfection, although you can set that as your goal. And, you know, even if you wind up short of an unrealistic goal of perfect health, perfect day-to-day life, perfect, you know, ways of chatting and communicating things with others and your ideas on that, even if you fall short, it's like, well, okay, but at least this is still pretty good. But you got to be honest with yourself. Can you actually acknowledge that, or will you judge that too and be like, oh, that's not perfect, I'm not, you know, showing up in the way that I want to? You know, this brings up like, do you really have to overwork yourself? Do you really have to do so much, or can you do less? Like, where, like, finding your flow is going to be simple. It's like, how's your energy feel? Like, are you feeling heavy and lethargic? You know, are you feeling good about yourself? The hard part is like, you gotta, Libra, the bonus for you I'll give is like, you have to have help from people with this. Like, you're just not going to feel your best if you're trying to do everything alone. That's just flat out the truth. You know, if your thoughts, your feelings, your plans, your visions, you're not talking to people about it, you're not sharing with them, you're not getting help, you're not getting support, you're withholding support from others, you know, in some weird way, that'll tank your reality pretty quick. But, you know, when in doubt, give the shout out to spirit, pray, ask them what to do. You know, what do you got to emotionally purify within yourself to go in a better direction? You know, you're carrying a load, Libra. Holy shit. You got the 10 of rods, 10 of wands. It's heavy, 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 heavy load. This is like a very Capricorn card. It's like very like, carry the burden, carry the weight on your shoulders of everything, but it's like you're doing it all alone. It's like, do you want to get a wheelbarrow? Do you want to like ask someone if you can borrow their trailer? You know, it's like, don't give up on supportive people and supportive nature and reality in general. It's time to drop the deuce of the energy that you're carrying, Libra. Don't get fooled into the reality just because it doesn't change just like that, that like just because Saturn, it's like just came out of the retrograde, that you're still like having to suffer. It's like just start making the changes a little bit at a time and get the support and lighten the weight of the load, so that, as Saturn progresses in its direct motion and you're integrating these lessons for the past 4 months of reaping what you were sowing for this past, 8 months prior to that, 4 months, really the past year, that you're lead a convincing reality of like, okay, I'm not just like reviewing my reality of things that I feel like I can't change. Now I'm actually changing the reality. I'm actually seeing physical progress, and it's also because you're working in conjunction with spirit, and you'll feel much more fulfilled if you do. Queen of Cups. When it comes to Scorpio, this Saturn going direct in Pisces on the 14th this month is very much dealing with love situations, self-love, inner child, romance. You got to look most definitely like if it's been heartbreak central the past 4 months, you got to look at what was those decisions made those 8 months prior. Hopefully like you weren't like pushing the heartbreak aside and like suppressing the energy because it's like too heavy to deal with. Taking responsibility for the decisions you were making in your love situations or with children. This deals very much with going into the past for like healing your inner child in order to have better self-love for yourself, a better love life in general. So it's like, the nice thing is like, it's there. It's like the presence is there. It's like you just drop into the heart and you can ask at any moment and pray like, what's the next change that I need to do in order to love myself better, to manifest a more magical, heartfelt reality that I just freaking love to death. Like, those answers are there, So what I like for you, Scorpio, is like, you don't have to get like overwhelmed by like too muchness of, changes, integrations that you need to make in order to like live a better life forward. You just kind of start with the fresh energy of like, what's on your heart? What's the emotion on the heart? If it's grief, if it's sadness, you process it, ask questions, self-inquiry, like ask your heart questions, ask your inner child questions. It's like, there's opportunities here for you to create a better, more loving, nurturing reality. And, if you're single, potentially a romantic partner down the line, even though, it's hard because your best relationship transits of your life, was at the end of May. And so, if you missed out on that, this is more so about like picking up the pieces of where maybe things imploded for you on those opportunities. And, that it might seem like it's a long road back, a long road to redemption. I think a lot of Scorpios have been dealing with their own like addiction issues for sure. And they're probably born of like, maybe CPTSD stuff, like stuff that happened in childhood, or, or you're running from the responsibility of being a parent to children or something like that. But it's hard, but it's like, remember, heartbreak is healed when you get out of the psychology of how you think that the past like should have went, or how you label or judge the suffering, and to go, well, I'm strong-hearted, I'm strong-willed, I can overcome this, So pay attention to what's on your heart. You'll get through it, Scorpio, I promise. Yeah, you got the Lovers card reversed, so definitely there was some heartbreak, a love situation, something just that let you down romantically, or you let yourself down in terms of self-love from your own inner masculine, inner feminine. But there's ways to overcome it, but you got to stop reclusing. You got to stop reclusing, Scorpios. I'll do one more. Yeah, just slow down. You got to slow down and feel what's in the heart, Scorpio. Don't blast off to the next thing and just only be the edgy Scorpio that just, is like, yay, Saturn direct. Now I can go do all these like fantastic fantasy-like things with South Node and Libra in your 12th. And you just like totally bypass like mending fences, with people that you love, and mending your own heart of your own heartbreak. It's like, do the integration work, Scorpio. When it comes to Sagittarius, Sag, you're dealing with home life situations for sure, family, emotions. Are you fucking up here, Sag? Like, I feel like fourth house is like an easy place to really sweep a lot of dirt under the rug with Saturn and Pisces, you know, like it's like you hide from the responsibilities, or you hide your best lessons, or, you know, you pathologize the lessons like when they come up and there's judgments there. So it's like, what's been happening the past 4 months? Like, has it been good to you? If it's been good and you've been feeling a sense of beauty of the domestic family home life, and you're feeling emotionally balanced even through the highs and lows and taking responsibility for them, great. But if you're feeling victimized by your emotions or the responsibilities of your home life, your family, you know, there's hiding that's going on there from responsibilities, you got to clean that shit up. So what's your intuition been saying, you know, past 4 months? It's probably been pretty clear, because it's your fourth house, your personal life, of inner reflection of the past, of decisions that were made, especially around your foundation, your security. Maybe you gambled a little bit and took a risk to try to protect yourself emotionally, but maybe you did that out of fear. Or maybe you gambled a little too hard because you're afraid that you were going to lose some type of security support, and now you're having to like kind of fix things there. It's okay. The good news is it's the fourth house of safety, Sagittarius. So it's like, whatever direction that you've gone in, their only way to go is up from here. Like, that's the nice thing about Saturn going direct. Like, you can't sink any lower from whatever has come up or happened. You can only go up from here. Might seem like a lot of effort and work, but the way that things just magically, like, you see how your life is fitting together and compartmentalizing life and your responsibilities and where to put your time and your energy to where you still feel centered. Spirit's going to show you that, but you've got to be willing to see clear through your intuition and not just, you know, being hung up in like an egoic situation. Your angels, your guides are absolutely there to show you what that is, Sagittarius. Let's, you know, and also too, just like, you know, for romantic situations, just know too, it's like there's shared responsibility there too. You know, if you have a close one, an intimate loved one, romantic, whatever it is, like, you can ask for help there too. It's not just, doesn't have to just be spirit guides. Like, people can help around the house and be of service to one another. Yeah, you got the Seven of Swords. The first card that came up was the Four of Cups. So it's like both of them, there's like some level of deceit where it's like you're not happy with the intuition that's been coming through, or not happy with something in the home life. You're trying to get away with something. Like I said, you're like sweeping something under the rug. Something's fishy, Sagittarius. Only you really know what that is, because it's really between you and God and your family and what you hide in your personal life. But I think that, you know, I don't think you necessarily need to expose it like publicly. It's more so like, what do you need to do, you know, and deal with like the financial, you know, security situations, or just whatever your security represents, even if finances are okay, where it's just like, what does security look like? What are you avoiding? You know, there's something going on there, Sag. When it comes to Capricorns, this is your third house: mental health, mental well-being, communication, cleaning up your environments that you're in, like being more choosy about the environments that you visit energetically, to where you have some pretty firm commitments, like with your time of how your behavioral part of your life is going, because it's not so much about the exact things that you're doing. It's more about what are the things that you're used to doing day in, day out, that influence your thought patterns and your behaviors, and even to a degree your subconscious beliefs that create your experiences. And I think that's been the thing, is like I think the final you know, the final days leading up to the 14th of the Saturn retrograde that goes direct on the 14th in your third house is, you know, what experience has been created by all these behaviors that have been leading to that. This brings about very much like a Joe Dispenza, breaking the habit of being yourself, like really getting a clear synopsis on the dream reality that you want to create, that you got to like make some changes within yourself to get there though, but then also like not hiding and acknowledging the parts of the way that you do show up that are completely like irrational when it comes to like that behavior will never match you creating that dream reality of where you want to go, and having to accept the hard facts of that, you know, that there are things that there are just changes that you have to make. And so whatever spirit's been telling you that's like trying to get you to look more at like the cold hard facts, but there's at least a spiritual softness like to it, to where you can kind of accept the compassionate nature of going in that direction, then, you know, listen to those things. And also too, this brings up of like not being so hard on yourself and beating up your own mind, you know, and making judgments against yourself of that the reality should feel a different way or be more magical. I mean, your astrology's been fucked, Capricorn, for a few years now, and even longer depending on how you handle Pluto and Capricorn. So, you know, you don't need to worry about how things look or the changes that you need to make in order to just like keep going, you know, like, because I think it's only survival and it's only scary like if you just like resist like any like behavioral point of view changes that you need to have in your reality of how you view your environments, how you view the people that you're around, the communication. It's like you just kind of need to drop like the fucking observer, like the censorship person, like in the media room of your own mind, going like has the hand on the red button that's like, we're gonna fire this person if he cusses on TV, or first we're gonna bleep him, and then we're gonna bleep everything he says after that, and then we're gonna throw him out or her out. You know, it's like, don't censor your communication. You know, you have good ideas and good thoughts, so it's like, doesn't mean just because, you know, maybe sometimes mentally you can feel like you're at the bottom of the barrel that, you know, you don't express your magic of your voice, you know, just the things that you want to say. So you've got this, Capricorn, you've been through it. Yeah, so that's a hard card. This is the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. So this deals with like the dark side of wealth, like financial loss, like things not going well, like almost has kind of a Tower card type of moment, except the Tower card at least is more of an energetic collapse that needed to happen. This is more of like a not favorable circumstance with like a home, family, foundation, financial thing. I think with the third house, you just Page of Swords, you have to get the clarity of like, what do you actually need to change to, you know, fix those situations? And you need to turn it around quick, and things will turn around quick when you make those changes, but you cannot avoid them any longer, Capricorn, if you've been doing that. And doing it will help you get your passion back. I gave you some extra cards because Pluto and Capricorn. Aquarius, this is your second house. So when it comes to this Saturn that's going direct on the 14th, past 4 months have been teaching you a lot about your self-worth, your money situation, how you manifest and create, and the relationships and projects that, you know, fit into those things. And so, gosh, you know, first of all, don't be lazy, Aquarius. I know second house, the bull, the cow can kind of just get a little crazy, you know? So I don't want you to snooze, because it's like with this, you snooze, you lose if you don't put in the effort to like making the consistent integrative changes that you've been learning this past 4 months. And I feel like of all signs, maybe you're the one that was maybe the most stubborn in like getting the intuition of what's to change. Maybe you've been too focused on Pluto dipping in and out of your sign, you know, this year, and then coming back about how you're going to be. Are you going to be okay? Or is it going to be okay, Pluto going through your 12th house, where it's like deals with endings and delays and stoppages and probably spiritual blocks and shit like that. So you got to still play the reality base of it though, spiritually, where it's like, okay, like, let me just do the basic thing that feels like an imaginative, consistent step that I can do. Like, do it like with like your magic, like take the steps forward with your magic, like do whatever it is that you need to do to support your financial well-being. Do what you got to do to, you know, bring your best skill set and be of service to people. Like, don't hide from these things. And just like, if you feel any sort of like resistance, lack of momentum, like in these areas, absolutely just have a kind of a more of a magical, positive attitude around these things, and just do what you know that you need to do in order to move the buck forward, you know, even if it's just like a little bit at a time. And even if like maybe there's days, you know, Aquarius, where maybe you're tired a little bit and you can only put so much effort in every day, you know, and it's not feel like an 8-hour day on the positive passion projects, and it's 3 or 4, but it's like this brings up levels of integrity and honesty within yourself of like, hey, if I have the energy, if I'm alive, I'm waking, I'm breathing, I'm well fed, like my needs are met, like, let me actually put my effort into something that's going to be more magical and better for my long-term reality. And maybe I say, fuck that, going on that date with that person who's low quality anyway, or being on that dating app, or like watching that late Netflix episode, or whatever it is. And just because it feels, you know, exciting, or, you know, because you got to be careful about like the hedonism side of it, Aquarius. Like Saturn doesn't like that. No. Like it's like wanting you to like make a business out of like your whole reality in your life, basically, to where all your values are being satisfied, and then you're leaving no stone unturned on those changes that you can make to make it that much better, Aquarius. So let's see what you got card-wise. Yeah, 2 of Pentacles, so very financial card, priorities. You know, you got some things to balance out, right? Feels like maybe you got your day life of your work, your job, your career, your business, and then you got, you know, some other stuff going on too. So it's like, you got to prioritize it. This reminds me very much of like, you can't be too nocturnal and snooze and sleep on the fact that you got stuff to do, which I know can sound generic, like who doesn't, but it's like for you, Aquarius, you definitely want to make sure that you're not like slipping, you know, on the progress, the time management of keeping up with these things. I feel like overall you're doing a good job, but if just keep doing it, and you'll get that 9 of Cups emotional fulfillment with it. You know, and then the 2 of Swords reverse. It's just like, yeah, anything that you're just unconscious, or you don't understand, or how does it fit in, or whatever is a distraction, just don't deal with it. Just like keep the progress and the momentum going forward, Aquarius. Like there's solid footing here. You don't have to pathologize anything, make anything wrong. It's more so just knowing that the momentum is easier created when you're listening to your intuition and connecting to spirit. Finally, we got Pisces. So Pisces, this is Saturn going direct on November 14th in your sign. So you've been learning a lot about yourself. These have been some, you know, hard/soft lessons where it's like it's firm when you get the understanding, but at least it's not like pummeling your reality a little bit. It's more just like a gentle invitation, like, hey, do you want to be a better person? Do you want to be better spiritually? Do you want to do better in business? Do you want to do better time management? Do you want to be more disciplined? Basically, just, it's like, think of it as like, because it's your first house, it's like Aries, like, hey, you want to charge forward? Okay, like, let us show you, let spirit show you where you can be a much more potent, you know, Aries Ram version of yourself, so that when you charge forward, you're this like magical Pisces Ram that like goes and just flows to their goals or their endeavors of where they want to go. And then you don't have all these like hesitations and doubts and like spiritual blocks and obstacles, not that, you know, seem like it's blocking your path, but really it's in yourself, and it deals with your subconscious, right? It deals with how you see yourself. You know, it's like, this very much is like update the avatar energy, like make sure that you're clear on the reflection of who you are. Like you should be able to like write a 4 to 5 sentence or even 4 to 5 paragraph synopsis about who you are to someone, just like free write journaling, and not even have to like hesitate, and just like flows out of you because you're so in integrity with knowing who the fuck you are that you're able to just be like, yeah, this is me, bitch. And then you show up as that too. But like Pisces is like you hesitate sometimes, and you're like wishy-washy. You can do that, you know you can. And so be clear and firm in who you are, right? So you'll spend these last, you know, few weeks leading up to the 14th of November getting clear and like troweling the top layer of the concrete that you just poured on like the foundation of like where you're going to go for this next 8 months, you know, before Saturn eventually retrogrades again. But it's like, this is a big push forward into your next leg of your journey. And while I don't feel it's like, you know, I'm looking at this, just knowing the astrology, just intuitively, it's like, it's not your most like significant one, but it can also be the one where it's the smoothest part of the flight, where there's no turbulence and just everything's taken care of, the responsibilities, every part of you's been served the concessions, and you went to the bathroom and you just get to relax and enjoy like where you're going. But that can only happen, Pisces, if you're taking care of like the schedule and the responsibilities of things that keep you strong and keep you going with yourself, so that there's like zero self-neglect. Like there's zero room for that. You got to meet your own personal basic needs, Pisces. Let's see what cards you got. Oh, that's a tough card. You got the 10 of Cups in reverse position. You know, you got some family stuff going on. It's a family heartbreak, trauma, conflict. Feels like you're just not happy fully. You know, like you're maybe looking more like what's not working than like what is working. And I just feel like you need more connection, more socialization with that 3 of Cups. Like, yeah, just, you know, be around positive people, right? Like, because like you can do all this work on yourself, Pisces, but at the end of the day, like if you're not showing people the new metaphorical wardrobe, the update of your avatar, and you're feeling lousy, or, you know, dealing with some stuck emotional family letdown, heartbreaks type situations, and you're not letting people know that fully, maybe it's time to update your tribe and go out and connect more, you know, and reflect on who are those people that you need to connect with in order to make things better in your life. That is a more updated, positive version of you. So that's it. That's a wrap. That's November, focused on Saturn going direct in Pisces. If you want to get that $9 special that goes deep into what's going on with this Scorpio new moon, but that Pluto Mars opposition, Capricorn to Cancer, this is a huge like destiny pull, like a tug and pull to go like, are you ready to go into like your best direction of your life, you know, that you can like basically go to like not like shrink and play small into some like, you know, what can feel like a gamble because you're kind of going out of your comfort zone because you have to, because of the transits, but then really you're not, because you're not really putting your best stuff like out into, you know, the world. This is about really reflecting on what are the parts of ego that, you know, you stay comfortable, and when really you could just go into a more potent place in your life with passion, with this is the hill that I'm willing to die on type of energy. And yeah, so that's for all 12 sun signs. So that link will be down below. Of course, if you still want to get the Pluto and Capricorn special, that link will be down below as well for all 12 signs. So there's still a few weeks left to go. That has a shelf life through November 20th, and then Pluto's done with Capricorn. So, you know, there's still value there. If you want to get that astrology ebook, $33, study your natal chart, that's down below. If you want to do an astrology reading with yours truly and go deep into the transits of how that's impacting you on a personal level, you got some things to figure out, decide in life, got a direction you want to go in, that link will be down below. And then of course my astrology school, if you want to learn astrology, that'll be there as well. So thanks for watching. I will see you on any other videos, but also I'll see you in December for sun sign, rising sign, and moon sign if you're groovy with that, horoscopes. Yeah, next month. Love you all.